Welcome to the Honest Designers Show, your transparent look into life as a modern designer. My name's Tom Ross and I'm the founder at designcuts.com, and this week I'm joined by my fellow Brit and hand lettering expert Ian Barnard and American retro design expert Dustin Lee. This week we're talking with Mark Hirons, an inspiring young creative entrepreneur, also from the UK. Mark is known for his podcast, Creative Waffle, but also as one of the nicest and most ambitious young minds in the industry. If only they knew. Really excited to bring some much needed youthful perspective to the show. So without further ado, let's get into it. Mark, welcome.
Hey, welcome. Thank you very much. I don't know, I said welcome. I said it twice now. Yeah, thank you very much for having me. This is exciting. I'm nervous. That's why I keep saying.
Don't be nervous. This is podcasters talking to podcasters. We're all very professional here.
Yeah, I think it's because I admire you lot so much. That's why. I mean, I've met you all in person, and you're all lovely people. I haven't met Ian in person, actually. That's a lie.
Well, soon.
We
could do a little plug, can't we? Start off with a little plug.
You've never met Ian in person?
No. I've met Dustin twice, is it? Yeah, I met Dustin twice, but never met Ian. That's crazy.
Okay. Mark, I feel like this is long overdue. As I say, we've all known you either online, in real life, or both for a while now. You seem to get about. I don't want to tarnish your reputation or anything, but you are like the kind of young networking ninja, and I don't know how deliberate that is. I feel like you're kind of the best at this because you're not pushing it. It doesn't seem networky, but that is essentially what it is. You're very known. You've seemed to have connected with everyone. You've had huge names on your podcast. I think you've had better guests than we have, to be honest. Shameful.
Sure. Well, I mean, I've got a good teacher, to be honest. Dave Clayton, he's a genius.
There you go.
I was just going to say you're like a mini Dave Clayton.
No, I take a lot of tips from him in terms of the talking to people and just being friends with people. I mean, that's one of the tips, I guess, is not to be too pushy. We're not doing it as an intentional network, but doing it just to meet cool people and have friends. Because all my friends are at university. I don't have any real friends in real life, so I try and meet as many creators as possible. So it makes me feel like I've got friends.
When did you? How long has your podcast been around?
So it's coming up to 3 years. So the whole event's like a 3-year anniversary event party thing. So it's going to be 3 years in January. 2017.
And
nice.
And did
That's
you just
impressive.
did you think I just need to start one of these? Because so you were like 18 when you started it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I still don't know what I wanted to do in my life at 18. I was just like, well, maybe I need to go to college.
Yeah.
I was drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon, smoking cigarettes, trying to be John Mayer. I mean, it seems crazy to know what you're doing at 18.
I know. I'm pretty sure I was just getting wasted. Probably had my head down a toilet with someone holding my hair back, like any self-respecting student.
Still doing that when we went to the conference in Birmingham.
Don't mention that, mate. But yeah, it is very impressive though. So I guess if we go a little bit broader here, for the people that don't know you, could you give us a little bit of backstory, like what you're up to, how you've got there, a little bit of your story?
Yeah. So I'm Mark. I'm 21. I'm a graphic designer, illustrator, mainly in the football creative space. Wanted to pushing in the football creative space. So that's football clubs, working with them, so that sort of thing.
Soccer for the American audience.
Soccer. Yeah. As you can tell in the background of football shirts, big football fan, and just inspired by everything that comes with that. Also a podcaster, love design, love talking to people. Originally, I think I figured out the other day that when I was a kid, I wanted to be a DJ, a radio DJ, and I've only just realised that, and it's sort of come around full circle now with the podcast. Like, I actually sort of fulfilled that a little bit. So that's got to do football, and more football.
Are you self-employed, or do you work for
Yes. Yeah, at the moment I'm self-employed, and
is that Blue Deer still?
Yeah, it's called Blue Deer Design. I work under that name. I think the name just came from being my favourite colour being blue, and then the deer part of it was I'm based in Surrey in England, and that's sort of like we have quite a lot of deers around in the woodlands, and I remember seeing deers in my grandparents' garden, and that was like sort of inspired that name a little bit. But
I didn't know if it was like Seth Godin's Purple Cow. Just
Yeah.
a spin on that.
yeah, I wish it was actually. But yeah, there's not much meaning behind that name. But I'm sort of stuck with it now. So, yeah.
And so you've been doing this freelance gig through Blue Deer. You started the podcast. You've been attracting some clients, especially in the football space, and just putting out generally quite a lot of content as well. So I feel like there's more than just the podcast. You seem to really be connecting with everyone on quite a lot of platforms.
Yeah, I like talking to people, like I said earlier on, and connection. I think, especially in digital world like we have now in social media, we're always just on our own, or I'm always working from home on my own, so I always feel like I need to connect with someone. I always feel like I need like a studio vibe, so I've always got a podcast in the background going. I've always got that human sort of connection, whether it's, like I say, through a podcast, or whether it's talking to people online, or whether it's messaging people that I like to work for, or just staying. I think it's just important to stay connected in this very isolated world that we live in. It's very ominous, isn't it?
It is very dystopian. And where, like, back to Ian's question, where does this kind of drive come from? Because you are very young, and you were even younger when you started all this stuff.
Yeah. I think I got into YouTube and watching these sort of videos and wanting to be part of you a bit. I wanted to be a YouTuber. Well, I haven't made it yet, but I've wanted to be a YouTuber ever since I was a kid. I've always watched YouTube, and growing up with these sort of platforms, I always wanted to present stuff and be on a show or be a host of a show. And I think it's just sort of, I don't know, either having that creativity as a child of wanting to create my own YouTube channel and create something for myself. That's where the drive came from. I mean, I used to do like a football card collection YouTube channel before anything. That was my first venture, really, and that's sort of grown from there. I've always been in touch with that platform of YouTube, and then it evolved to doing the podcast and evolved to other things. The drive, I guess, came from wanting to work for myself. I mean, I've worked in a couple of design studios and jobs that I figured out that I didn't really like, and then so I figured out, well, try and make it yourself. Then also fueled by self-help videos and people like Gary Vee, Jocko Willink, and Joe Rogan and those sort of people, fueled by watching hours and hours of their content. So I guess it's a bit of a mishmash of all of them. Yeah.
I love it. It's a pretty safe bet in my mind that you're going to break out at some point beyond how you even have. And I feel like it does compound. So you've done so much in quite a short space of time and at a very young age. I'd hate to think when you're my age, God forbid Ian's age. That's I think we're saying there's 19 years between you and Ian. Ian was saying. Imagine adding 19 years on to the like 3 or whatever that you've already been going. I just think you're going to be like taking the world on.
Yeah, it sort of, that feels like a lot of pressure. It feels, for me, like you say that, it's like, oh, that's very exciting. I love it, but it's hard to understand in my brain. Like, I've been lucky enough to have that sort of compliment a couple of times, and people like from Dave Clayton as well. He's always saying that, but it's like, oh, I get a bit scared, or a bit like, what happens if I don't make it, sort of thing. So we'll see what happens. But
so Mark, this is, and sorry guys, I'm kind of hogging the mic. So final question, and then I'm going to pass over. Mark, this is the Honest Designers. Do you mind if I open up a little bit about like some of the chats we've had?
Yeah, go for it. I mean, I'm not a closed book at all, so go for it.
Cool. So I think, as I said at the start, you are very known for being like very liked and approachable and all these great qualities, and you're a great networker, but you never seem pushy. And everyone just seems to want to like give you a leg up, not in a charitable way, but in a like genuinely just liking you and wanting to support you as a bit of a mate. And I think that's awesome. So it's like, I don't even know how it transpired. I ended up sponsoring football, FIFA, freelance FIFA through my company. We've been out for like a group dinner and out on the piss and hung out at conferences and stuff. We went out for like a local one-on-one dinner, very romantic, over a little candle for dinner at my local pub. And I remember I felt a little bit like a big brother, because it was like talking to a younger version of me, because you were having a bit of a breakdown at the time, talking about burnout and massive heaps of pressure an expectation and so on. So I don't just want people to walk away from this episode and be like, he seems like a likable, plucky young fellow. Like, good for him. He's got a fine journey ahead of him. Can you dig into the reality of that a little bit? Because you were in a bit of a bad headspace at that point.
Yeah, it's something that I've dealt with a lot this year, actually. I haven't really experienced it a lot. And I don't want to feel like I've jumped on the bandwagon of burnout and stuff. And that's what I'm a bit cautious of. When I met you and had that first romantic dinner with you, it was like, I got a bit of a crisis, yeah. And then you've helped me through it, and you've helped me realise, I think it was mainly, when I met you, it was mainly about social media, mainly about the likes and the followers, and not worrying about how many likes and different things like that I've got. You taught me a lot about engagement, and taught me a lot about not worrying about what other people think, unless it's your audience, and making sure you go deeper with your audience, and what's it called? That motto of having 100 great people that do follow you and comment on your audio videos rather than 1,000 people that don't, and the echo chamber of walking down the street of podcasts, and like all the houses. You said to me like all the houses in one street are or a shop, so they're all podcasters, and you're one of them. How do you make your one stand out, and how do you make you have loyal customers? And you taught me a lot of stuff about that, and that got me over the hump of social media and being in this space where you're just caring about followers and just caring about how you come across.
How did it feel, though, when you were really in that bad headspace? Like, how dark did it get, really? Yeah,
like suffocating. Like really, really bad. It's sort of made me want to think about stopping it all, like the podcast especially. And just... Sorry, I'm really sorry. My mum's just tapped on the window. She's just come home from work. And it's really right, put me off.
It's fine. Keep that bit in. This is the Honest Designer Show. We keep it authentic. Hi, Mark's mum. So, yeah, we were talking about darkness and depression. And then your mum said all that.
Yeah, so I went through that again. I had a football injury and I couldn't get off the sofa practically because I tore some ligaments in my ankle, and I wasn't doing any exercise. I wasn't going to the gym, and I know, Tom, you've talked to me about how important the gym is in your life and how important the exercise has been to relieve you of stress and get you out of just work mode. And when I wasn't able to do that, it really got me down, and I made a big video about it, and I was really, really at a bad place, really. Just sort of like questioning everything. It just happens when you're under so much pressure and you self pressure. You just question everything. Like, will it ever happen? Will I ever make it? The 3 years that I've put in, is it enough, or will it lead to something? What's going to happen in the future? Is it worth me spending any more time on this if I'm not making any money or not going down the right route? Anyway, it's just a big spiral, and I didn't have any release from it because I was injured and because I was sitting on the sofa and I didn't want to get out of it. So yeah, it got a bit dark, but I'm on the upside of that now. So
good, glad to hear it. I'm going to hand over to Ian and Dustin because I've got a million questions, to be honest. It literally is like I'm talking to young me. So over to you guys. I don't want to hog the mic.
I was just wondering that like thinking back to well, it makes me feel so odd when I have to say I'm thinking back to when I was your age.
In my day.
Do you have a plan, because, you say you listen to Gary Vee and he says, like, close your eyes for like 10 years and don't worry about anything, just push out content. Do you have a plan about where you would like to be, or are you just focused on the sort of small elements of just putting out your podcast, doing your design stuff, doing your football, or is there something that you aspire to be in the creative space, or is it more, sort of fluid and loose than that?
It's currently just changed a little bit in the last couple of weeks, actually, and so it's probably quite an interesting time to ask it. But I like personally, for my work and my career-wise, I'd like to work for the football team I support and be their graphic designer and be their main guy. That is my sort of ultimate dream now.
What is the team you support? Just in case they're listening.
It's not a very good team, but they're called Swansea City and they're a Welsh team. But or Liverpool. I'd happily take a job at Liverpool or Man City or a big club like that if they're listening.
Any club with a really big budget for design.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone that appreciates it. or even New York. Someone flying me over there. I don't mind. But no, but yeah, that's what I want to do. Sort of combine those two things that I love, and that's sort of taken a different direction from what it was a couple of months ago, where it was, I want to be Aaron Draplin, I want to be this guy that influences all designers. And then I sort of realised I'm not going to get there quickly, one, and I'm going to have to put loads and loads of hours in, and it sort of comes with experience, and it comes with your work and not trying to be that. So Aaron Draplin didn't set out to be an influencer. He didn't want to be an influencer. He's become one from the amazing work that he puts out and the amazing experience he's got and the sort of the years of skin in the game. So it doesn't come from, in my opinion, it doesn't come from wanting to be one unless you've got experience, unless you've done it already.
That's very astute point, actually. It's like using football, for example. A lot of the best coaches and managers were players.
Exactly.
And you're right. Who starts out at 20 years old being like, what do you want to be? An influencer?
Yeah.
It's like, well, influencers normally do it on the back of quite a prolific career or some kind of experience or success that is them paying their dues.
Well, this is like issue I have with social media at the moment, where everyone's doing these. And I know you do them as well, Tom, but this is different because when you see a lot of younger people do them, it's different when they're doing all the carousel and advice things. And I know I'm a bit of a hypocrite when saying that because I'm a podcaster and I do the podcast, but I'm taking other people's advice. But when it's coming with your own, say you're 20 and you're doing carousels of advice on Instagram and you're trying to be an influencer already, it's a bit cringy to me, to be honest. Like you don't need to be doing that. You need to be focusing on becoming a good designer. Yeah, it just frustrates me a little bit when I'm saying that. I've had enough of it, to be honest.
It's all right. Did you see my rant about this the other day?
I didn't. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Ironically, using a carousel. But I was like, if I see another person who's like regurgitating Seth Godin quotes and giving life advice they haven't lived, I'm going to pull my hair out, kind of thing.
But that's it. It's you haven't lived. That's the thing. That's the trick. Is we haven't got enough experience. I can't be giving my own advice out. I need to be giving the people I'm interviewing. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do with the podcast. That's why I'm interviewing people, to get their advice, and I'm trying to share their advice rather than my own, because I don't know anything.
Okay, so let's stick on that for a second, because I think this is a very important point.
Okay.
For all the younger or perhaps less experienced listeners out there, maybe they are thinking, well, everyone keeps telling me to bring value and to put out great content and to do all these, moves. But if I don't have the experience, what can I do? So by the sound of it, like drawing on the experience of others and interviewing them is one option. But what else can they do, maybe?
That's a good question. I think doing it through your work and like I'm doing the football stuff, I think rather than trying to give advice all the time, just build a community around your work and talk to people that you like the work of. And not, you don't have to be sharing advice. That's the thing. You can take it for yourself. You don't need to be advice on Instagram. You don't have to be motivational quotes. You can be consuming that stuff, but everyone has to put it out. And I think some of the best stuff I'm trying to do at the moment is talking to people and not even sharing it. Like I'm talking to a lot of football creators and a lot of people that I want to be like, and that are 20 years ahead of me, off podcasts and off air, and just getting advice and trying to do it and trying to become a better designer myself, rather than worrying about what other people are posting on Instagram and worrying about becoming a motivational speaker and becoming this channel for motivation. But yeah, that's good. It's a hard question.
It is.
I'm not sure.
I think you're doing a better job than most of these people, and you're not even meaning to. So you're putting on an event which Ian and I are speaking at.
Yeah.
You are, I think, inspiring people. You are building an audience. You're doing a lot of the stuff which you're almost trying to actively avoid. But I think that's why it's working, because it's done with a pure intent of actually just like documenting your journey, your honest journey, not pretending to be something you're not, or something like that.
Right. Yeah. And I know documenting your stuff's, another thing, as Gary Vee says, and I know you've said it in the past, and a lot of people say you've got to document everything. And it probably is nice to have when you're 50 and you look back and think, oh, that's quite nice. I guess I'm sort of doing it for the podcast, but if you don't document it, what's going to happen? Like, nothing. Nothing's going to happen. You're still going to have a good design career if you are becoming better. You don't need to be documenting everything. Just focus on becoming a better designer. If you're really in it because you love design, this is what I'm realizing over the last couple of weeks. I've been thinking about it. If you really love design, you're in it because you want to become a good designer. Why are you doing all the other stuff as well? Why are you like I was thinking even last week, next year, why not I just start doing design illustration more? Sack off the podcast and just do that, because that's really what I'm in it for. I really want to become a better designer. I really want to work for football clubs. So why not I just focus everything on that? I don't know. I'm passionate now, aren't I?
Dustin, what are you hearing?
A lot of if you look at the biggest influencers in design, they're not regurgitating anything because they're not peddlers of advice. They're people that share what they're doing, and by sharing if you've ever seen, for instance, Aaron Draplin talk, or one of my favorites is Amy and Jen Hood from Hoodspud Design. If you hear any of these people like that talk, they don't get up there and then list off a bunch of advice and here's what you should do. They tell the stories of real things they've done, and the advice is blatantly obvious as you watch it. They don't have to tell it to you. You can see it in the examples. So and I feel like that's democratic. Anyone can do that. Anyone can get a platform and share what they're doing. And then you don't have to prove anything. You can just say, this is what I'm doing. And then people eventually ask you, and then you can give your advice. It's not a question, but as you were talking about it, I was thinking, it just kind of occurred to me.
Well, yeah. When did everyone have to become an influencer? Why does everyone have to become, Tom Ross or Gary Vee? Why does everyone have to become that sort of person? I don't get it. And I wanted to be that sort of person. I really did, like a couple of weeks ago. And now I've realised I'm in it for design. I'm in it because I love design. I'm in it because I want to do football design. Why do I have to become this sort of person? So,
I think influencer has become the new sort of I suppose 20 years ago, it was I want to be like, Brad Pitt or, Tom Cruise. Where there was just celebrities there, someone from a famous band or something like that. But I think the influencer has taken over that because I suppose it's slightly more in reach in terms of, the super celebrities that there used to be. There didn't really used to be any sort of any gap. There used to be like Joe Average, like me, and then there'd be a movie star or, I know, Oasis or whatever band was big at the time. But now because you have like micro influencers, then you have like influencers, and you have that range. I think people can sort of see that they can get there. But the problem is you're seeing people just falling off the wagon in terms of mental health issues, because it's not a great way to live in terms of trying to, because you're sort of pandering to the likes of other people, which is very, very shallow. And
this is what I was talking about with I sort of had the big thing about with Tom and worrying about likes and worrying about a thing. And for young people especially, it's so, not even in design, if you look at young women worrying about body size and body issues because people haven't liked their photo, it's so dangerous. I know we're for men talking about this, but it's
same thing with men increasingly.
Yes, true.
Perhaps not to the same extent, but statistically, male body issues are through the roof compared to what they used to be.
Yeah,
it's pretty ubiquitous.
And why if we've got body issues and I've always wanted to be a bit more muscly and I always wanted that, why am I looking at other people on Instagram that are bigger? Why am I looking at maybe it's great to watch a couple of Arnold Schwarzenegger videos and think, oh yeah, I could be like him one day maybe, and get a bit motivated to go to the gym, but constantly scrolling through hours and hours of people posting topless photos doesn't help. It's
inspiration, as they call it.
Inspiration. The thing is, I see that. For me, it's I'd love to have a body like that, but I just in my 20s, actually early 20s, I was twice the size, and I had to go to the gym every other day, be there for hours.
Were you an absolute beefcake?
No, I wasn't. Not in terms of some of these guys you see on Instagram, but I was me and a friend went and we just did weights. All we did was weights. I went there for 3 hours once, and then halfway, 3 hours in the gym, halfway in there, we went out to the restaurant, the centre we're at, had a massive English breakfast, bacon and sausages and all this, and then just went back
from first-hand experience. This guy can eat, Mark.
Yeah.
It's honestly quite scary when you see it up close.
But then I don't exercise as much. So, but I just
have you got a picture? I would love to see that, like beefcake Barnard.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I have to look, but I think I ate too much to really like over. The scales of like you doing exercise and weights compared to how much you're eating. And it's just like this, and it was like doing it, but the amount of work I just saw the people in there and like even my friend continued to do it, and like as soon as he stopped, like it sort of like was a deflating balloon, and it was just like the upkeep on that body is just I'm just too lazy. I was just too late, and I was like, I can't be bothered. And so I suppose people see like here's what you could be, but then they don't see like the days and days of just like having to count your calories and your nutrients and all that, and just how much work that is. And I suppose that's a problem with social media. It doesn't give you a realistic insight into exactly what goes into all these things.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly.
And like there's a thing about like it takes 10 years to be an overnight success, because we saw especially like the earlier YouTubers were like just doing it for the fun of making videos, but it took them 10 years and then they were famous, but they hadn't done it for the thing, so that's why it kept going. But then obviously, and then they became famous. That's when the pressure sort of was then not loaded, but you can't help but then put pressure on yourself.
Yeah. I think for young designers, it's especially important, and it's probably like the first tip I'm gonna say is like figure out what you're actually in it for. Are you in it to become, I don't know, an influencer? Do you really, really want to become an influencer? Because the last 6 months or so, I've really figured out, okay, that's not really what I want to do. And it's taken me a bit of time to work it out, but figure out what you're doing design for. Are you trying to become a good designer? Are you trying to land a job? Are you trying to do this or that? I don't know, whatever you're trying to do, you could go for that rather than what other people are trying to force you into, or videos are trying to make you do. Or it's a hard one, because you see a lot of motivational videos and people are trying to the pressure is to become an influencer, or like Ian said, the new best thing is to do this thing of posting yourself and motivational quotes and everything like that. But I think being true to myself has been the biggest thing that I've done this year. That's helped me the most is going to a football-based design stuff, and really focusing on what I want to do with that side of my life, with my work, has helped me tremendously, and built the contacts and built everything for the industry, and to help me push me to the next level where I want to get a job in football design. So focus on what you want to do. Yeah,
it's refreshing to hear. And we can move on in a sec. I don't want to like stick too much on the influencer stuff, but I think it's a very worthwhile point, because Ian and Dustin wouldn't have had that at all growing up, but nor did I. This is very recent. I would say as recent as like the last 5 years, really, even 10 years ago.
Yeah, you're right.
Social networks were just kind of getting off the ground. So it's probably been 5 years of that being the new aspiration. Would you say that, it's not just you? Is this indicative of like your whole generation at this point? Like, is that what a lot of people are now chasing and trying to follow?
Yeah, I'd say most of the people. I know people that it's hard to say. I think it feels like there's two different sort of people. Like, this might sound bad, but there's people like who don't have work ethics, and there's people that do have work ethics in my age group, in my bracket. So like the people that do have a work ethic, they're the ones that everyone's trying to be an influencer, or everyone's trying to be this and that. Or and then I've got friends that they're just trying to land a job out of university. They're just trying to I don't know. Maybe that's the wrong way of saying it, but
well, there's nothing wrong with that, obviously.
I don't know, but Anyway, it is a thing that it's a lot of people are thinking about my age group, and it's not good, in my opinion.
I'm sorry, Mark. I'm sorry. How old are you again?
21.
21. Okay, so when you're 31, if you had to guess, what would you hope you have when you're 31 that you think would, I think the wrong word is happy, but would
satisfied, or
would make your life satisfying or fulfilling to you?
That's a good question. So, I would want to be at least somewhat financially relieved. Like, what's the word? I want to
stable.
Yeah, I want to be financially stable at least by 31, because I've worried too much about money the last year, and all these podcasting tours and things. It doesn't help. But yeah, I mean, they've been fantastic. But yeah, so financially stable, and also have a job where I'm happy, or be doing something where I'm happy, and it's fine. I don't have to worry about where the next money is coming from. So yeah, financially stable is one, but it's doing something that I'm liking as well.
Do you think a lot of designers your age have a real big worry about money? Is money something that is straight away something they think about in terms of, like, you know, or is it more about, you know, other, like, about getting the right job or wanting to work to the right company?
Yeah. What are, like, the main concerns, I guess, of your age bracket in the design world?
I probably would say becoming an influencer, then it's money.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think there's but because they think that will bring the money. They think that becoming the influencer will bring the money in. And so, yeah. So yeah, I think people wanting to get famous to try and get money. So yes.
I had an experience not too long ago. I was at a design conference, and I won't name any names, but there was, like, quite a big speaker on, and I ended up, I feel like there's a running theme here, but I ended up down the pub getting pissed with a few of the younger people at the conference. And
that was my talk when you did that.
Every talk.
And they were basically, like, some of them were, like, great, and I could tell they were quite ambitious and so on, but a lot of them were having a bit of a moan and just saying, well, that's completely unrealistic what that speaker's talking about. It seems a million miles away from where we are.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and that's not the first time I've heard that, especially from younger people. And I remember it so well because money was a big stress, especially in my early 20s. My dad sat me down at one point when I was older than you are now and basically said, look, you know, I'm the biggest supporter of what you do, but it's got to the point I'm actually worried about you and your future financially. So do you think maybe you need to go and get a proper job?
Yeah, and this was one of the other things we talked about, isn't it? Like, I was worrying about, earlier on this year when I chatted with you, I was worrying about parents and people worrying about me, about my money. And if I don't have enough money, then I should be getting a job because it's obviously not doing the right thing. And they're marking money as a success meter. But
yeah, so when you got your parents and everyone around you almost scared for you because you're going the path less traveled, how do you maintain faith through all of that it's going to play out?
Yeah, that's a good question.
If you're on Facebook, you can just take one of those courses that keeps coming up. It's like, get your 6-figure salary. That's when you've made it.
Well, I remember feeling that feeling. I mean, I wasn't as ambitious as you at 21, but I think it probably started creeping around 25 or 26, and I had to move back in with my mom. I had moved out, and then I had to move back in. And I remember waking up, like, at night. This happened for a good 7 years. I would wake up in the middle of the night and think, am I living a pipe dream? Does everyone think I'm living a crazy pipe dream and I'm the crazy person? But I'm the one, like, I look at other people and say, oh my gosh, they are so delusional, but I can't see it myself. And everyone's like, oh, Dustin, he's so cute with his really sad dream. But it's almost like it does look like that. And then all of a sudden one day it works and everyone's like, you always were a go-getter. Yeah. So it looks like craziness until the day it works. And then everyone's like, you stuck to it, I'm proud of you. But before that, people are like, what the hell are you doing? What a shame.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's like this, an equal amount of people have been telling me to keep going at it. So, I mean, you've got Dave Claytons and Dave Wills and the people I speak to of the world. They're all called Dave, apparently. But they're all the people I speak to outside of podcasts, and they're all, keep going. It's just going to take time. And it's an equal amount of people that I do love and trust, and probably to the same level as well, which I hope my parents don't watch this. But yeah, it's. I think you've got to have both sides to it. I think if people are telling you to get a job and things, you've got to assess if that is right for you at the right time. I mean, now if someone tells, I think it was a bit of a mixed message, because they were saying go and get a job, but I really could have thought about getting a job that I like rather than just taking their thing as get a job. That means like, oh, go and work for something, any job that you can get. Go and get money. That just chase the money rather than, because that's another thing that's driven me. I see my parents just do jobs that they don't like for their whole lives, and they're still doing them because they have to feed a family now. And I don't want to be like that, if I'm honest. But so I don't want to be stuck in a situation.
It's funny because I feel like I'm guessing you guys feel like this too, Tom and Ian. Like I look at people being an old man to many at this point. I'm 38, and I look at some people that are younger, and there's people that I say, I am worried about you. I mean, I don't say it to them, but I'm thinking that. I'm thinking this road doesn't look like it goes anywhere good. And then there's other people that, they're stressed about where their future is going to be. And I think to myself, pretty sure it's all going to work out. Kind of like you said with Gary Vee, close your eyes for 10 years and then open them. I think you'll probably be surprised. It'll probably turn out pretty good for you.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like when I see someone like yourself, I think, yeah, it's going to be fine. You're 21. Everyone around you doesn't have the infrastructure to prop you up as much, but you've already got older people that are starting to help you do that. And all these people around you are going to get their stuff together, and you're going to be the first person they call. But, I think it's hard. It's just like, you know what I mean, Tom? Like not everything is built structurally in your age group around you yet. But like to myself, if I could invest in people like stocks, like I would put some of my money into shares, and I feel quite confident in certain people,
Yeah, you're going to have that Amazon boost, aren't you? 7 years from now, we're going to see like a big hockey stick.
Yeah, exactly.
I get what you mean. I get it. I get it. Having people around you is and people you talk to is massive for your confidence. Yeah.
The thing is, I think this. I think it's a bit easier in this environment to see that there's actually illustrators, graphic designers. It's a bit more of a feasible option, because like I remember even just like 10 years ago when I said I was a graphic designer, people go, "Oh, you work in IT?" So, because but I think with more information, the general public understand a little bit more about what these careers are like and what they actually do, but it still doesn't. Even, with more wisdom doesn't always come more intelligence. So people can think, you actually make a living there. When I say I draw letters for a living, and people go, and people pay you to do that, and I'm like, sometimes, yeah.
Well, that's half the problem I found, is you need to start explaining stuff, and that's a good one for young designers as well. You need to start explaining stuff to your parents, because it's not their fault. They just don't understand some of the things that you're doing. Like they you sit at your desk all day and just whacking away at the keyboard, or not like that. Dustin, you've got a dirty mind, whacking away.
That's not what I was thinking. You have the dirty mind. I literally was not thinking that.
Mark, I know you're young, mate.
Okay,
you're not a teenager anymore.
I was.
But yeah, just see you at your desk working away all the time, and you just haven't explained. I need to explain to them more what. I need to explain to them what I'm doing and why I've got.
You're just,
I'm just digging a hole here.
I know what you're saying, though, Mark. Because my kids come in. So my oldest is 6, and then I have a 4-year-old.
Don't let them see it.
They both come in, and I'm looking at a screen all day. I can tell when I explain to them, oh well, through this screen, people give me money, and I give them things, and that buys all this stuff. I can just see their brains the wheels start turning, but it's not connecting. What? They're just like, "What are you talking about? You staring at the screen somehow makes everything work for us."
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I think
puts ice cream on the table.
Yeah, and it's hard to explain that, and it's a long thing to explain. You might have to do it 3 or 4 times, but before they get it. But I think that's also helped me just to get them off my back a little bit and help them realise what I'm trying to do. And I'd hope if it isn't going the right way, and I hope people that I've connected with, and I hope people would say to me that's probably not the right way. I hope people have been honest with me and say, look, I think you should do this instead, or I think you should give it up now.
Mm.
So
So one thing I've noticed you're very good at, Mark, and this is quite a common entrepreneurial trait, is just getting stuff done and almost pulling it together out of thin air. And I love that. That's one of my favorite traits in people, because I think 99% of people look for objections where it's like, oh, I can't because X. And you've done this with all kinds of stuff. But for example, being the marketing man you are, you've got your Creative Waffle Live 2019 event banner behind you for anyone not watching the videos. Well, that thing, yeah.
Just that banner.
And that's happening in a couple of weeks. In fact, I think, do you want to do a little pitch for it? We'll
Sure.
give you a 15-second pitch, because I think this is coming out shortly before. So any London-based listeners...
Or surrounding area. I'm not even in London and I'm coming in.
Hey, we've got people coming. No, we've got people coming from America. We've got Michael Figosu who's coming in. Michael's coming.
What?
He's coming flying in for it. Yeah.
No
And,
pressure, Tom, on what we're speaking.
Yeah, we're going to have to actually try
nail
now.
We've got Lisa Jacobs coming in from the Netherlands. Yeah, we've got loads of people.
All right.
But yes, sorry.
Go on. Yeah, what is it? When is it?
So, Creative Waffle Live, come and have a great event evening in London at David Game College on the 15th of November 2019. And come and see Tom speak, come and see Ian speak. You've got Dixon Baxter, a huge London design studio. They're speaking and showing off their work, giving invaluable tips out. But the whole room will be full of creatives and people that are so experienced you can learn from and network with and become friends with. And then after the event, we're going to go and get pissed and have a good time in a pub and just talk some more and share our problems and help each other. But yeah, no, it's going to be a cool event in London, and tickets are available all over my Instagram at Creative Waffle and Twitter at Blue Deer Design. Yeah.
Amazing. I've literally, as you're saying that, I've messaged our audio guy being like, make sure you publish this before November 15th.
Yeah.
It's going to go out on like November 18th. Come along. It's going to be great. Awesome. So we normally don't allow plugs in the middle of an episode, but
I appreciate that.
The point I was getting to is you've kind of just pulled this together out of thin air.
Mm-hmm.
You're a young guy. You could have looked at it and be like, I'm too young. No one's going to listen to me. Or, but what if I do this and no one shows up? Or, but I don't have a big captive audience, so why would speakers agree to speak there? Or I don't know how to go and get a venue. I don't know how to sell tickets. Like there's 100 objections you could throw up to doing something like this. Like we've never done a live event. I'd like to do one. I haven't managed to get around to it yet, but you've just kind of pulled this together out of nothing. And now it's something.
Yeah.
And you've done that over and over again with various projects. And I think that's one of your greatest assets. So can you talk a little bit about what there is inside you that kind of lets you do that?
Yeah. I think it's just a fear of and not having a fear of failing, I guess. And if it doesn't work out, then, oh, well, you can do something better next time to make it work. That must be it, or a fear of not saying. People say no as well. Like if someone didn't want to speak, then fine, I'll get someone else to speak and someone help me out, and that's totally fine. So I think it's just wanting to do stuff and wanting to be productive, and that drive, like I said earlier on, coming from all these motivational videos and coming to wanting to make something of myself, and be self-supporting and doing something I love. I think that's where it all comes from. Still, it's that burning fire.
Do you get that voice though, where it's like, but you can't do it because of this reason?
Oh yeah, and that's why. And Joe Rogan summed it up really well. And on a podcast recently, he said, "I go to the gym to fight the demons inside my head," and I love that because it makes so much sense to me. Like your head is a lot quieter. I don't know why, but your head is a lot quieter when the voices inside your head just don't come out as much when you're in the gym or when you're putting yourself through a lot of stressful stuff in the gym. When you're hitting the boxing bag or when you're doing heavy weights. Or even just sweating like a lot on the you're running and your body's telling you no to stop running and you push through it, that does silence something in your head.
I have to say, I used to go to the gym a lot. Now I walk a ton, but like as you said that, it inspired me so much because I've had like a couple stressful weeks and like literally one day I could feel, you get that. You guys all know listening, like you get that stress right in your solar plexus area. It's like right in your gut. It's like this stressful energy. And my brain was like, the only way you're getting rid of this is if you kill it at the gym. Like that energy has to go somewhere and it has to be distributed out through a treadmill or through weights and sweat. And so that's such good advice that you guys had on that, because man, it really is. It's like the best medicine.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and but yeah, the whole event stuff is just. I wanted to put on an event for a long time, but I mean, I still don't have the funds for it. That's why a lot of this, about everyone speaking, they're luckily on a favour, and I'll probably owe you all one afterwards. But it's just wanting to do stuff and be successful. I guess that's the whole drive behind it.
Love it, and I think you could do it just on pure confidence and chance. And actually, I'm following a vlog series that was posted a few years ago. It's from an entrepreneur that I follow in the UK, and he did audacious things. Like, he sent a letter to Panasonic asking for 10 grand's worth of camera equipment, and they sent it to him 2 days later, just because he
I know who you're
asked
talking
it.
about. Yeah, he's,
Right? Have you seen that series?
Is it Steve Bartlett?
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah, like, love that story, and he's got many examples of that. So I think with being a little bit audacious and having the confidence and going in for the ask, it can work. But I know that it's really your network that's let you pull these things off so easily.
I think that's it.
Like if we had no context, if you were some random dude on Instagram, be like, travel all the way up to London, pay for your travel. Obviously, happy to do it for you, Mark, but just, in this example, pay for your travel, go up there, speak for free. I'll be like, what is this? I don't know if I can trust this person. But for you, like, in a heartbeat, I was like, yeah, of course. And I think a lot of people do. And so, can you talk a little bit more about network? Because I know you alluded to like the Dave Clayton approach and just making friends with people. But what more can we give people? Because a lot of people are like, well, that sounds good in theory, but I don't know where to start. Yeah,
that's a good point. Just to be clear, I'll pay for travel and a pint or whatever.
That wasn't a hint, Mark. I don't want your 9 quid. I don't want your 9 quid for the train.
Speakers travel. So thanks, Tom.
So starting building a network is a big thing. Yeah. Go to speak. I mean, the first thing you've got to be brave enough to go and speak to people. That's for sure. I'd go to an event, or I'd go to, even just if you don't go to events, start off with Instagram DMs or Twitter DMs or somewhere you can message people. And just, you've got to be brave enough just to send a message. And if you can send a message, then your whole world's open then, because you can send messages to everyone then. You can send messages to Paul O'Shea, you can send messages to Stefan Stagmeister, you can send messages to I don't know, the biggest people in the world, if you can send one message. So,
and you have done with your podcast.
Exactly.
You've had huge guests. Was that just because you thought, they might not reply, screw it, I'm going to do it anyway, and you just emailed them?
Yeah.
Is that how that transpired?
Yeah, I mean, so Paul O'Shea actually was a little bit of an exception. So I went to her, and it's using initiative again. So I went to her book launch in London, and she did a talk of unit editions, and I gave her a little blue design pin badge and said, look, I give these to really special people that I love and admire. I'd love you to take it. She took it, and then like a couple of months later on, I was like, do you remember the kid that gave you the blue design pin badge? And she was like, yeah, I do. And she was probably thinking, oh God, I've got to do an interview now. And then she said yes to it. She said, yeah, I've come on the podcast because I remember you. So just stuff like that, just little gifts, and not. I know not doing it. And my intention, I don't think at the time, was to get her on the podcast, but I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe it was. But originally, start off with, maybe not Paul O'Shea and that, but start off with people that you admire the work of and just want to talk to you because you want to get feedback from, or you want to even just be friends with them. I mean, that's such an important thing, just having friends in your industry. So just start talking to people that you want to become friends with. Actually become friends with them because you want to become friends with them, and then that will open doors. That'll all of a sudden, Dave Clayton will start talking to, I don't know, Ian Barnard and Dustin Lee, and then I'll get introduced to Dustin at Creative South, and I've now become friends with Dustin, and things may happen from that. So what if they don't? But now I'm friends with someone in America. That's amazing, and it just takes one person to introduce you to someone else because you're a cool person. I think that's just
it really does. It really one, two people can change your life.
That's it. Yeah, and just it's just talking to people that you like the work of, and getting to events and being recognised in that space and becoming friends with people. Yeah,
and collaborations work because of relationships. They don't work. they come out of, two or more people who know each other, rather than randoms just, random person you just message, because there has to be that trust, and you build trust up through that relationship. So, and I think, like Tom was saying, we happily did want to do this thing for you because, we trust you. If you, randomly messaged us, we'll be like, we'll have a think about it.
Exactly, yeah. And I think I'm going to cry. I honestly think I'm going to cry at this event. I think I'll break down because it's going to be like so many people that have put their time into listening to what I've got to say, and just people that are there just because they're friends of mine. And I was like, all my friends in one place. It's going to be amazing. I really can't wait for it.
I reckon you should do a little mini workshop on carousel posts with life lessons.
I'll do it in introduction to the event. But I think that's been the biggest thing in my life, really, isn't it? Becoming friends with people that you like because you want to be friends with them, because you want to have friends. Who doesn't want to have friends?
Yeah, but there's I don't know. I feel like there's a fine line because I never feel like you're a user. Equally, I don't feel like you're needy. You're just a heart and sleeve, quite authentic guy,
right?
And I feel like a lot of people get that wrong. You do get needy vibes, or they're trying to get something out of you, or they're a bit desperate to be mates, but you're like, "Ooh, get away, clinger." Whereas with you, you're just pretty chilled.
Yeah, I don't know how to give advice on that.
Don't be a dickhead.
Yeah, it is that. Just be cool. Just be cool.
Like the Fonz.
I'm too young for that. I don't know.
I know. I was thinking about this before. If we were social networks, I think I'd be Instagram. You'd be TikTok.
Oh,
Dustin would be Facebook.
I'd be like MySpace then.
Yeah, Ian would be MySpace.
Yeah.
TikTok, my lord. I know I'm getting old because I know TikTok, but I don't know how everything with technology works. I think you lip sync to stuff, and somehow that creates social stuff. That's for you kids. You kids can take care of that.
One of these newfangled things, Granddad. I'm lost in it as well. Feel well out of touch. Mark, I think we chatted about TikTok, and you had quite an interesting description of it, if I recall.
Yeah. Well, if you want me to say, it's basically this. From what I've seen of it, I'm actually on it now, but over the last couple of days, I've changed my mind on it, and I've decided to start posting design work on there because I've watched another Gary Vee video, and it's like, oh yeah, be an early adopter to it. But anyway, before that, my opinion of it was like just paedophiles talking to kids, because it literally was that you've heard so many stories of people like that on. See you later, Dustin.
Sorry, I have to go ahead. There's something going on. I'm so sorry. It was great to see you.
It's all right. Sorry, Dustin's got an appointment, but we're going to keep talking because this is good stuff. We can't end the episode on paedophiles.
Take care, guys.
See you in a bit, Dustin. But yeah, so that was my opinion of it until a couple of months ago, where I started getting interested into like the next social media platform, what the next social media platform that's going to be big. So
and I'm definitely going to check it out as well. I tried it before, similar thing to you. I opened it up, I was like, there's literally a bunch of 14-year-olds dancing around their living room. I was like, this has got nothing for me.
Oh, the content on there is horrible. You don't want it. It's so cringy.
It is, and it probably makes you feel old.
It does, yeah. Makes me feel like I shouldn't be on the app. That's what it does.
Yeah. But, there's opportunity because I've done that so many times. I did that with Twitter. I've done it with all the main social networks where I looked at it and I judged it incorrectly and wrote it off. And then I ended up jumping on far too late.
Yeah. And that's it. That's why I've got to get on it now. I don't know, me and a Football Illustrator called Dave Wheeler are posting some stuff and he's getting a lot of traction. So it's worth getting on it. It's worth getting on it.
Nice. Cool. Well, let's connect soon. I'll get back on it in the next few weeks. And maybe we can have like a, I don't know, twerk off at your conference. Post that. That's viral content right there.
I'd get me a few pints in before I start twerking.
I'll get you 2 pints and I'm anyone's mark. Okay, so in terms of content and everything you're doing, and I think this kind of translates to real life as well, can you talk a little bit about authenticity.
Yeah.
Because I know that's become a bit of a buzzword, but I have seen some of your videos pop up and you've literally been so open.
Yeah.
And I think it's easier said than done, right? It's easy to say, yeah, share your soul with the world. But when you do it, it's really scary or it's really difficult or you don't come off genuine. How do you kind of put that out to the world in the way that you do?
So how to be sort of authentic and share your thoughts?
Like how to be your real self online, I guess.
Yeah, that's I guess it's not worrying about what other people think again. It's just, I don't know, it's a hard one because I did a video where I really did open myself up to it, and with the podcast, I've seen people that I admire do podcasts before, like Joe Rogan, and he's literally just himself apparently. So I thought, well, it can't go wrong. I do think it takes a little bit of a different personality to do that. I think you guys do a great job of it. I think other people are not comfortable sharing their full self. They want to be a bit more professional and they want to be a bit safer.
We're definitely not professional.
Yeah, but they want to be a bit safer with it, and I just don't think that's me. I think being true to yourself is the best way to go about it. Because if someone doesn't like who I am, then I don't really want to work with them anyway. So
yes, good mindset.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I don't really know, I'm mumbling now, but just, I think you have to be yourself. Otherwise you have to keep up the lie, don't you? You have to keep going down the rabbit hole of lying or making this character up that you're not.
Must be exhausting.
Yeah. I don't know.
If you're purporting to be like Carousel Pete for your whole life, it must be mentally draining.
Carousel Pete.
He's a good guy. Puts out some sage wisdom. Ian, have you got a final question?
Have you got anything in place to protect you from having sort of going down into sort of a bad place in terms of sort of, mental health and stuff like that? Is there things that you sort of think, okay, these things sort of help to lead me into that way? I'm going to stop, or you're managing it in a different way. Any advice? So the thing is, I see, I think especially on Twitter, I see a lot of designers just popping up and saying, "Oh, this last year has been really, really hard, been really struggling," and
it seems like everyone's having a shit time on design Twitter.
Well, that's it. Yeah, everyone's jumped on this sort of this place where one person has a bad time, then everyone has to have a bad time. Or, I mean, I don't know. It just maybe they gets more engagement, so they feel like they have to be down all the time. I don't know what it is.
But yeah, have you got, to Ian's question, have you got bits of knife that keep you on the straight and narrow?
I mean, not drinking helps. But,
you're not drinking?
No, only in certain situations. So I found out when my limits, like when I'm okay to drink. So basically, I had a bad patch where my parents were out. They were at a pub. My dad owns a pub, so they were at the pub, and my sister was away at her boyfriend's, and I was on my own. So I thought, well, I'll jump on Instagram and do an Instagram live. And then all of a sudden I had a rum and coke, and I had 3 rum and cokes, and it's like half pints of rum, and then the rest was coke. And then I was like, oh God, as soon as I finished Instagram live, I was just horribly sick. And I was like, that's a bad moment in my career. I don't need that.
No.
So yeah, I was off rum and coke, and I was off alcohol for a while. But I figured out when the best time to drink is. So when I'm in good situations.
I'm slightly gutted I missed that live.
I was dancing around. I might do another one time, but no.
Oh my God!
So it's just figuring out when the right situations are to drink. If I'm around people, football match is a great opportunity to drink, or being on like after the event. Just certain situations where I know it's probably not going to get too silly, and I'm with other people. That's the main thing. I think drinking on your own is never a good place. So. Yeah. Anyway, that's it's a bit dark, but I can't drink on my own for that reason.
It's a fair point. I try to avoid it as well.
I just felt really bad and started drinking, so don't do that. But yeah, there are other things I do to try and avoid being in dark situations. Gym is the going to the gym and or playing football. Anything that takes your mind away from work is huge because you need it. And that's something I've realised again over the last podcasting tour in the last few months is I can't just work all the time, or I can't just put pressure on myself all the time. I do need a bit of an out. I do need a bit of a release from work. And you need to do some exercise. So that's what gets me away from it all, and that's what helps.
But Mark, isn't it true that if you love what you do, you should be able to work every minute of every day unrelentingly and never crash because you're just getting high on life and the passion of it all? Isn't that the case?
Oh man, I wish that was true. I really do. Even footballers have to have a break, don't they? Like, I imagine how much I'd love to be a footballer. That would be my ultimate dream. But I still have to have a break from it. It's like you can't play football all the time where you wear yourself out. You'll be knackered. So any career, I think you have to have a break from it. You have to have a balance of. I haven't worked it out myself, but you need to have a balance of getting away from it, and just sometimes just doing nothing helps as well. Just watching rubbish. So it's important, and that's something I've really realised. And after watching all these motivational videos, and after being addicted to them, or self-proclaimed addicted to self-improvement videos, you can't just be working all the time. You need to do. I know it sounds bad because you want to be working all the time because everyone's saying, "Oh, if you work more, you'll get you better. It'll make you a better person. It'll make you a better designer." But you need a break. That's equally important. And relating it back to the gym, you need a break for your muscles to repair, to grow. Because if you keep constantly going to the gym all the time, your muscles keep tearing and tearing. Eventually, they'll just snap. So you need to have a break from the gym in order to grow. So that's the same thing in design. You need to have a break from design in order to grow, to refresh.
Mm-hmm.
I find they're getting over inspiration.
Okay.
There must be a word. We need to wake up a word for it. Where I can't stop looking at content, like artistic content, and I'm like, if I don't look at it, I'm not going to be inspired. But the problem is, your brain needs your conscious thoughts need to shut down for a while, so your subconscious thought can take over. But once that only happens if you give yourself a rest.
Right.
That sort of, you fill your consciousness with the sort of like recipe, the ingredients, and then you need your subconscious to start putting all those bits together and producing something. The problem I have is I just can't switch off. So I'm like, I sort of pick up my phone and I'm like, until I go to bed, and then I wake up and I'm like, and I know that I just need to stop, and crack on with.
Well, exactly. You're saying that just made me think of something. Is the reason you have to have a break so your mind sort of slows down a little bit to go to sleep? Because last couple of days I've been thinking so much about the event, and I've worked until I go to bed, and then I can't get to bed straight away because I'm still thinking.
Yeah, mate, same here. Last couple of nights, and I've just looked knackered.
Yeah, exactly.
Me and my wife are currently going through the second time going through all this 10 series of Friends, which is it's a great program if you want to say.
I'm glad you said that. I thought you were going to say a divorce.
Yeah.
Whenever people like me and my wife are going through,
because it's like you don't really have to think about it. It's not like something that sort of you can take an episode and just like a bit sort of throwaway in terms of it's lighthearted, sort of watching, and it's got nothing to do with design.
Something that shook me up recently was watching Joker, and then a couple of days later watching Fight Club. Those two films, you shouldn't watch them if you're in a bad way, because they really shook me up. They just made me go into a spiral of bad thoughts again, because they're like so anti-establishment, anti-life. Like,
are you just going to go for the hat trick and sort of polish it off with the machinist or something?
I haven't watched that one.
Yeah, that's pretty grim.
Yeah,
or like Requiem for a Dream or something, just to wrap it up.
So I agree. Yeah, like Family Guy is my go-to when I'm trying to think of trying to relax a bit. But all the Simpsons.
Mark, I can't remember if we talked about this over our incredibly romantic dinner. Did I talk about the Shrink for Entrepreneurs?
Shrink.
Peter Shallard, like the psychologist for entrepreneurs. His name is Peter Shallard.
I don't think we did.
Okay, so I'm going to read you a short paragraph from it.
Okay.
This is an article I refer back to sometimes. So if anyone listening Googles it, the article is called "The Dangers of Becoming Superhuman." And it says the path to entrepreneurial success has become synonymous with becoming superhuman. With shining examples like Richard Branson and Elon Musk to inspire us, it's no longer enough to achieve mere business success. The new entrepreneurial definition of success should be dubbed the Tony Stark. You need to become a billionaire genius, playboy philanthropist, and you should probably look like Robert Downey Jr. too. Even if you dial the ambition back from superhuman to merely optimized human, you're still looking at this giant to-do list, and it kind of gives a few examples. Ever felt that pressure to be better in every single area? The desire to crush it is a good ideology, but what if I told you that in practice it's crippling the progress of entrepreneurs midway through their journey to the top? And then he basically goes on to explain splitting, because when you're trying to be superhuman, you fall into the ideology of, well, I'm either that perfect and amazing, or I'm a complete failure, and it doesn't allow for any grey area. Yep. So you're looking at Tony Stark and Elon Musk and all these unattainable figures and thinking, well, I'm not where they are, and therefore I'm completely useless. And actually, you're doing just fine.
And that's just happened. That's funny you bring that up, because that's just happened to me, where I called it perfect day syndrome. I was trying to. I watched some of the videos, and I need to get off YouTube, but some of the stuff I watched was like my perfect morning routine. I was like, I'll get up at 5 a.m. and I did that for a while. And I was like, if I don't get up at 5 a.m, I haven't had a perfect day. If I don't go to the gym at 5 a.m, if I don't come back at 7:30, if I don't plan my day equally, 15-minute increments, and get everything sorted, I can't call it a good day. And I was like, I did that. I went through that for a couple of weeks, and it did cripple me. Like you say, it's you can't do it all the time. You burn out, you'll die. You won't get there.
I did the same thing. So I was on holiday with the missus not too long ago, and I had a bit of time. I had a notebook out and I was sunbathing, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to like plan a more efficient week. And it was like every 15, 30 minutes accounted for the whole week, including weekends, literally, where it would be like, wake up, immediately do this, jump into this, then this, to go to the gym, do this. And it was like, man, I'd on paper, I get a ton done that week. And it was about 2 weeks later, I was like, I feel terrible. I was like burning out hard.
Yep.
And I just hadn't factored in proper like rest. And even if you're like factoring in rest, that's not life. You can't just live by like pure, like relentless routine. You need a bit of spontaneity. And like, I just feel like doing this right now.
It's true.
I know when I've reached the point is where I do a whole day's work, and all I got to show for it is just literally I've written a couple of words in my sketchbook and over and over again, and it's just not. I just can't get anything done. It seems to be like the sort of you're run out of fuel. And you're just like cruising along, and you're like, I'm going to be fine. I've got no fuel, but it doesn't matter. And then you get to a hill and you're like, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like that sometimes when you run out of things to do. Like maybe because I haven't got enough clients or something, but I've run out of things to do, and I'm like, I feel like I'm not being productive now. I need to do something else. I need to be productive. And it was like constant worrying of having to be productive in order to have a good day. It's like, I need to be doing something. I need to be on in something. And it's, like I could feel myself after the podcasting tour of just really needing a break. And it's just, again, there's that afterwards I was like, but I wasn't being productive. So I just need to take a few days off. And I think if anyone's feeling like that, or anyone's feeling like they have to be working all the time, it's just not true. And the more people that know about it, it's better. And I think social media's got a huge thing to say in that, and you need to watch out for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's that's to the point, but
no, it completely is. And I think even if it had no bearing on your work, it would be a good idea, and you should do it anyway for your own personal mental health. But ironically, it has some of the biggest impact on your work. Because when you actually take that rest and that downtime, you often have some of your best, most creative ideas. Yeah,
it is true. Yeah. That's what they say, like keep a day between like creating a logo and then showing it to the client. So you have a day just to think about it, just step away from it, leave it to rest, and then come back to it a day after with a fresh pair of eyes.
You mean you shouldn't frantically do an all-nighter and deliver it with 1 second spare?
Exactly. Yeah.
That used to be my approach.
My approach was, could we see the progress on the logo? And I'm like, quickly, Helvetica, black and light.
And they're like, man, it's so sleek.
Yeah. And then like, here's my other one that I spent hours on. Oh, I hate it.
Yeah. That happens.
I feel like we're hogging you now, Mark. Have you got time?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
All right. I've got a final question.
Go on then.
And then we must wrap up. I think there's an awful lot of nonsense and moaning happening in the design community, especially on social media, especially when it comes to clients and that kind of thing. And just being straight up like disrespectful, negative, pessimistic. It's us versus them. They're really useless. And not just clients, all kinds of areas like that. Yet some of the biggest and greatest names we've had on are very humble. And actually they appreciate the clients, they appreciate the work they're getting in, they're thankful to be able to do what they do for a living. And I would say you've kind of fall into the second camp there, which is great at
sometimes,
a very young age.
Yeah.
How have you kind of developed that healthier, like older head on your shoulders when it comes to that stuff?
I mean, again, being around older people, being around the people that are the more humble, toxic people breed toxic other people. So it's that thing where people say 5 people around you, they're the people that you act like and you are like. I had a job working at a company last year, and I started noticing after about 6 months that I was becoming them. I was becoming these older people I didn't want to be like. I never wanted to. It's basically like posh Surrey guys that, you know.
Nothing wrong with that, mate.
Completely, yeah, we're both of them. No, we're like old people, sort of.
Yeah,
really conservative people. Anyway, I didn't want to be like them. That's not my view on the world. And I noticed that I was even starting to laugh like them, and it really fucked me off. So I wanted to get away from that. So I had to quit the job. And it is the people that you're around is what your mentality becomes. So again, just you've got to be talking to the right people. Yeah, I think that's so key. So key in my life. It's been really, really important. Well, I think there's something else to that question as well. There's another answer to it.
No, I think that's a perfect answer.
Okay.
Nailed it. Cool. Mark, thank you so much for coming on. I hope you enjoyed it. That was like a real good, insightful chat, in my opinion.
Yeah, I loved it. I really, really did. Thank you very much for having me.
Sweet. Well, everyone, be sure to come and check out the event.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks, November 15th, right, Mark?
That's the one.
And if you didn't hear where Mark referenced it, where can they find you online? Because you're going to be shouting about it on there. So go check him out on social media. You can get all the links to this event.
Cool. Yeah, it's at Creative Waffle on Instagram, at CW Podcast on Twitter, at Blue Did Design on both of them. Email me, hello@bluediddesign.co.uk if you want the link sent to you. Come along, see Ian and see Ian and Tom come and speak. Have a drink with them. They're good guys. Buy them a drink, and yeah, there you go. Come along.
Cool. And everyone go and check out Creative Waffle as well.
Some good
episodes.
Talk about this a lot. And Andy J Pizza referenced this as well. One of the best ways to promote a podcast is going on other podcasts.
It's true.
Because it is not a giant leap from one podcast to another. You're already on the podcasting app. So normally I don't like push the end bit this hard, but Mark's a friend and we like looking out for him. So if you're already listening to us, you have us in your ear holes right now. So go on your podcast app. When you're done with this episode, jump over, type in Creative Waffle and give it a listen, because it's got some really good stuff, some unbelievable guests, some of whom we're very envious of. And of course, the affable young Mark. So go check it out. But Mark, thank you so much for jumping on with us. We appreciate you. Can't wait to hang out soon.
No worries. That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Mark.
Bye, mate.
See ya.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. As always, you can find full show notes over at honestdesigners.com or find us over on iTunes and now Spotify by searching for The Honest Designers Show. And remember, we're now on social media too, if you search for Honest Designers. If today's episode helped you, then it would mean the world to us if you took just a moment to leave us a quick review over on iTunes, as this is one of the best ways for other designers to discover the show. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you next week right here on The Honest Designers Show.